What's up everybody, Jamie here from Sharonatsea. Hey, every time we do research for a cruise, we come across some new interesting facts that we didn't already know. Today I'm going to try to stump you. I'm going to give you 10 cruise ship facts and see if there's not one or two that you had never heard of before. Stay tuned. Hey, real quick, before we get started, if you're into checking out cruise information, cruise stuff on YouTube, we'd love you to consider subscribing to our channel, Sharon at Sea. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're always aware of new content that comes out. We really appreciate the support. Thanks very much. Now let's talk a little bit about cruise ship facts. Alright, so I got 10 fun, interesting facts I'm going to share with you today and see if I can't slip you up with one or two of them that you hadn't heard before. Alright, number one. Now we all know that building a cruise ship is a monumental feat. If you've ever checked any of it out online, you've seen how the ship is put together part by part, piece by piece, and it is very intricate and detailed in how they do it. But did you know that the cruise ship cabins are not put together on the ship when it's being built? They're actually built by manufacturing companies off-site. They're put together, they're tested throughout, electrical, plumbing, the whole 9 yards. They're wrapped up safe and secure, and then they are shipped over to the cruise ship where it's being built, and they are slipped in almost like a jigsaw puzzle into the skeleton of the ship. It's one of the most interesting things to watch happen, and it was pretty amazing to learn about when I first heard of the whole thing. And that's one cruise ship fact that I bet you didn't know. Alright, here's number two. Any passenger ship that carries more than 50 people is required to have some sort of a makeshift hospital or medical center on it. But did you also know that most cruise ships have jails? What about morgues? They also have morgues on board. If someone passes away, which does happen on occasion, they need to have a place to store and keep the body, because guess what? That cruise ship is not turning around to drop someone back off at the port they started from if unfortunately they pass away. Usually the next port they come to, that body will be removed from the ship and then hopefully flown back to the States or wherever that person came from originally. But that's an interesting little fact. Medical centers, jails, and morgues can all be found on a cruise ship. Okay, so here's number three. I know that most folks associate going on a cruise with having a party. I know for us here at Sharon at Sea, we love to have a good time. Go out, do a little dancing, drinking, have a blast. But you don't have to be a partier, or I should say a drinker, to go on a cruise ship. Did you know that most cruise lines, if you take a look through their fun times or whatever paperwork they have showing all the activities on the ship, you will find something where there will be meetings for Friends of Bill W. If you see that, that means that they are having and supporting AA, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings on board for anyone who struggles or battles with addiction and is working through sobriety. It's pretty neat, and it's pretty cool of the cruise lines to support folks that don't want to be drinking but still want to get on board and have an amazing week, an amazing vacation on board a cruise ship. So for those cruise ships that are supporting Friends of Bill W meetings, good for you. And that goes to show you don't have to drink to go on a cruise. Alright, here's our number four fun-filled fact. A cruise ship will cover about 80,000 miles a year. 80,000 miles. To put that into perspective, if I walked out my front door right now in a straight line and I kept walking until I went all the way around the earth and came back to my back door, that would cover about 25,000 miles. So a cruise ship travels about 3 times around the earth every year. That's a pretty amazing fact. You never would have thought that it really travels that far, because they're not really known for going particularly fast. They only average about 23 knots or 20 miles per hour on a regular basis. So who would have thought they could cover that much ground? But that's right. On the average, 80,000 miles per year. Alright, here's another interesting cruise ship fact. For years now, cruise ships have often gotten involved in assisting during natural disasters. Whether you go back to Hurricane Katrina or more recently Irma and Maria, cruise ships provide not only housing and shelter, but they deliver necessary goods to help and support folks who have been hit hard by these natural disasters. Supplies, water, food, clothing, all that kind of stuff they get involved in. Probably one of the biggest things you might remember was when Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf. Carnival had a number of its fantasy class ships involved with that, and they provided shelter for folks that had lost their homes, first responders that had come in to help, and a number of other people as well. So good job, cruise lines. We love when you get involved and help the folks in your local ports, whether it's the Caribbean ports, whether it's the ones here in the States or anywhere else. Way to go helping each other out. Here's another fun-filled fact. There are a lot of organizations out there that own and operate their own version of cruise ships. Heck, the Church of Scientology even has a 440-foot cruise ship they use on a regular basis called the Free Winds. You may have even seen it in a port. I know Sharon, Matthew, and myself have seen that ship at least twice in Caribbean ports that we've been in. But did you also know that groups can actually charter an entire cruise ship? Booking agents, companies, religious groups, and anyone like that can secure an entire cruise ship just to use for their own means and for their own employees or members. It's a pretty neat deal. Maybe you've seen musical groups or musical genres booking out and chartering an entire ship where a booking agent will organize the entire thing. Business groups can book and charter out an entire ship. Heck, recently you may have already heard about nudist groups that will charter the entire ship. So the good news is, if you want an entire ship to yourself for a whole cruise and you have the money to burn, you can charter the entire ship yourself. Now here's another fun-filled fact. Now most of us get on a cruise ship for anywhere from 3 to 4 to 7, 8 days, and then we get off again. It's an amazing vacation. But there are some people who have made being on a cruise ship a lifestyle or a life choice, and they've actually become permanent residents. You may have heard a little bit about Mario, who's an awesome guy that actually lives on board Royal Caribbean cruise ships. Now in addition to him, there are a number of other people that reside on cruise ships. Most notably, there's a cruise ship called the MS The World, owned by a company called ROW Management, and that ship currently houses up to 165 permanent residents on that ship. They just sail the world. They sail from port to port, usually staying in port a few days at a time. And those folks just live on board that ship. Would that not be amazing, living on board a cruise ship? There's a little something to shoot for. All right, here's fun-filled fact number 9. Did you know that the average age of someone on a cruise ship is actually 46 years old? Now that's come down considerably. A few years back, cruising was thought of as something for older folks. Maybe something for newlyweds, but mostly folks that were a little bit up in their years were the ones that used to take cruises. Well, that's not so anymore. So that number's come down dramatically from the mid-50s into the mid-40s over the last 10 years or so. And it's bound to go down even more with all the cruise ships focusing on kids, teens, things for kids and families to do nowadays. I wouldn't be surprised if that number cracked into the 30s in the next couple years. Cruising is becoming more affordable, more technology friendly, and more family friendly. And as you know, here at Sharonatsea, we are family. We've been cruising, the 3 of us, for many years, ever since Matthew was a baby. 1 year old was his first cruise. So we love to see that average age go down. We love to see the ships focusing on family-oriented fun. And finally, our last little fun cruise ship fact, and I only learned about this recently myself while doing a little bit of research. When you think about how long cruise ships have been around, you think of names like Carnival, Royal Caribbean, you know, the heavy hitters out there. But do you know which cruise ship company or cruise line has been around the longest? Well, it's actually P&O Cruise Lines. It has the oldest heritage dating back into the 1800s. What started out as a shipping company around 1844 transformed into a leisure travel company and began taking passengers from England to the Mediterranean on a regular basis. So P&O Cruise Lines, now owned and operated by Carnival Cruise Line Corporation, is the oldest known passenger-oriented, closest thing to a cruise line going back to the mid-1800s. Now, if that name P&O rings a bell, it's because recently they made a little bit of news with regards to a brawl on board one of their cruise ships, which may or may not have included a clown. Apparently it really didn't. But that's pretty cool stuff. P&O Cruise Lines, the oldest cruise line out there. Okay, so there's 10 quick, interesting cruise line facts I thought I'd share with you. Hopefully I stumped you with a couple of those and you hadn't heard of them before. If you have any cool facts you want to share with us or any of the viewers out there, make sure you put them in the comments below. Again, before you close out the video, we'd love for you to click subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us when we put out new content, when we go live every Monday night, and even stop by on our Facebook group, Sharonatsea Cruise Crew. We'd love to have you, and we always appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and from all of us here at Sharonatsea to all of you, happy cruising.